Are you aware of the presence of God? In Jeremiah 23, the Lord teaches us about himself, saying, "Am I a God who is only near, and not a God who is far away? Can a person hide in secret places where I cannot see him? Do I not fill the heavens and the earth?" So is God everywhere, and does he know every detail of every second? Where are you right now? Are you aware that God is there right now? Are you conscious of the fact that the presence of God is there? And God is not only aware of events and physical settings, but also all of our thoughts. David wrote a psalm about this. Listen to the first few verses of Psalm 139. "Lord, you have searched me and known me. You know when I sit down and when I stand up. You understand my thoughts from far away. You observe my travels and my rest. You are aware of all my ways. Before a word is on my tongue, you know all about it, Lord." Now, maybe you can read this psalm as a prayer sometime. But does this seem creepy? While I'm sleeping, God is there? God knows what I think about the food I eat, my neighbor, my teacher, my church, and God knows what I think about him. But it is also reassuring. When I'm angry, God is there with me, and he loves me all the same. There's nothing I can hide from God. We can be honest with God. It is safe. In the 1600s, a monk who was a chef in a monastery in France was known for talking about his relationship with God using intimate terminology. After he died, those who knew him compiled his sayings in a book called The Practice of the Presence of God. He strongly believed that if God is literally everywhere, then to limit our awareness of his presence only to dedicated times of prayer would produce a relationship with God that is lacking and unhealthy. He believed that his daily routine, his conversations, his leisure, his reading, his singing, his serving, his cooking, his cleaning, and yes, his praying as well, were all extensions of a continual conversation with the Lord. He said living in continual awareness of the presence of God was the most effective way to experience joy. Listen to and think about what he said. One way to recollect the mind easily in the time of prayer and preserve it more in tranquility is not to let it wander too far in other times. You should keep it strictly in the presence of God. In being accustomed to think of him often, you will find it easy to keep your mind calm in the time of prayer, or at least to recall it from its wanderings. Think often on God, by night, by day, in your business, and even in your diversions. He is always near you and with you. Leave him not alone. We can do little things for God. I turn the cake that is frying on the pan for love of him, and that done, if there's nothing else to call me, I prostrate myself in worship before him who has given me grace to work. Afterwards, I rise happier than a king. It is enough for me to pick up but a straw from the ground for the love of God. Today is the last lesson that we will be focused on the life and character of King David. While David was not perfect at being continually aware of the presence of God, in today's story we see a man who, rather than assuming how he should respond, David seeks God. Now, how about you? When do you seek God's guidance? Do you assume that you know God's will and carry on with what really amounts to guesswork? Do you trust your own reasoning over the direction of the Holy Spirit? Or do you seek God's guidance in everything? And never forget, never underestimate the fact that we are all sinners. Our perception of reality is faulty. We have a God who knows us, a God who loves us, a God who wants to guide us if only we would trust him and ask. Maybe in your classes you will find people who love you enough to help you practice staying continually focused on God. Can you work together to think of structures or life rhythms that will help you to see and seek God in all parts of your life?